The story of Abubakar Malami is one of the most astonishing downfalls in the modern political history of Nigeria. A gripping saga of power, staggering wealth, and severe legal consequences that has kept the entire nation completely glued to their screens. The man who once sat comfortably as the absolute peak of the Nigerian judicial system, serving as the Attorney General of the Federation and Minister of Justice for a solid 8 years under the administration of former President Muhammadu Buhari, is now fighting the legal battle of his life to stay out of a cold prison cell. In a massive and highly anticipated court ruling that has sent absolute shockwaves across the political landscape this week, a federal high court sitting in the capital city of Abuja, presided over by the no-nonsense Justice Joyce Abdulmalik, has just delivered a monumental decision. The court has officially granted Abubakar Malami, his wife Asabe Bashir, and his son Abdulaziz Malami a massive bail of 200 million naira each. This dramatic development comes as the embattled former chief law officer and his family members face a terrifying mountain of allegations that read like the script of a Hollywood political thriller, blending massive financial fraud, the deeply concerning concealment of illicit funds, and most shockingly of all, high-level terrorism financing and the illegal possession of deadly firearms. For a man who used to command the full weight of the Nigerian law enforcement apparatus, standing in the dock to answer these deeply disturbing charges is a staggering reversal of fortune. The sheer scale of the legal assault mounted against him by both the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission and the Department of State Services is unprecedented, marking a deeply aggressive push by the current administration to enforce strict accountability among former high-ranking government officials. The path to securing this 200 million naira bill was absolutely not a walk in the park for the Malami family, as the court imposed exceptionally stringent conditions designed to ensure that the defendants do not attempt to flee the country or evade the long arm of justice. Justice Abdulmalik was incredibly clear and firm in her ruling, demanding that each of the 3 defendants must provide 2 reliable sureties in the like sum of 200 million naira. But the court did not just stop at the financial figure. To guarantee the absolute credibility of these sureties, the judge mandated that at least one of the sureties for each defendant must be a verified owner of highly valuable landed property located in either the ultra-exclusive Maitama or Asokoro districts of Abuja. Furthermore, the original title deeds of these multi-million naira properties must be physically deposited with the Deputy Chief Registrar of the Federal High Court. In addition to these heavy property requirements, Malami, his wife, and his son were strictly ordered to surrender all their valid international passports and travel documents directly to the court, effectively grounding them within the borders of Nigeria until the final conclusion of this massive legal showdown. The court also required the submission of recent passport photographs and sworn affidavits of means from the sureties. Until every single one of these rigorous bail conditions is flawlessly met and officially verified by the court registry, the former Attorney General, his wife, and his son have been ordered to remain securely locked away in the custody of the Nigerian Correctional Service. This means that while they have theoretically been granted a pathway to escape the harsh realities of prolonged pre-trial detention, their actual physical freedom hangs entirely on their ability to quickly satisfy these demanding legal requirements. To fully grasp the massive magnitude of this ongoing judicial drama, we have to rewind the clock just a little bit to look at the staggering financial allegations originally leveled against the Malami family by the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission. Sometime in late December of the year 2025, the entire country was thrown into an absolute frenzy when operatives of the anti-graft agency officially arraigned the former minister, his son, and his wife on a heavy 16-count charge of money laundering. The sheer numbers involved in this case are completely mind-boggling. The commission boldly alleged that the trio had actively conspire to conceal and launder proceeds of unlawful activities amounting to a staggering 8.7 billion naira. The official charge sheet detailed a highly sophisticated financial operation, accusing the family of using a complex network of corporate entities and multiple commercial bank accounts to deeply disguise the illicit origin of these massive funds and completely avoid regulatory scrutiny. Companies such as Metropolitan Auto Tech Limited, Mithaq Hotels Limited, and Rehan Hotels Limited were allegedly used as primary financial conduits to clean the money. The anti-graft agency presented documents claiming that billions of naira were routed through these specific corporate accounts between the years 2015 and 2025, perfectly coinciding with Malami's powerful tenure in office. Some of these funds were allegedly retained as cash collateral to secure massive bank loans, while other massive chunks of cash were systematically funneled into the aggressive acquisition of highly luxurious real estate properties scattered all across the country. The investigators allege that the family purchased high-value residential and commercial properties, including massive luxury duplexes in Amazon Street and Rhine Street in Maitama, multiple mansions in Asokoro and Gwarimpa, as well as sprawling estates in Kano and his home state of Kebbi. In fact, the situation became so intense that a separate federal court actually ordered the temporary forfeiture of 57 different properties linked directly to Malami, which were reportedly valued at a jaw-dropping 213 billion naira. The drama reached an absolute fever pitch in January of 2026 when Malami experienced what can only be described as a deeply traumatizing legal whiplash. After spending the festive season locked up in the Kuje Correctional Center, Justice Emeka Nuite, who was initially handling the financial crimes case, granted the family bail in the sum of 500 million naira each. After spending over a week scrambling to meet those tough conditions, Malami finally perfected his bail. However, in a scene that looked like it was pulled straight from an action movie, the very moment the former minister stepped out of the prison gates to finally breathe the sweet air of freedom, heavily armed operatives of the Department of State Services immediately swooped in and forcibly rearrested him on the spot. The nation was completely stunned. The secret police quickly revealed that they were taking him into custody for a completely different and far more severe set of allegations bordering on national security, terrorism financing, and the illegal possession of deadly weapons. Security sources leaked to the press that the agency was seeking a special court order to detain the former chief law officer for several months due to the highly sensitive and deeply complex nature of their investigations. This massive pivot from financial crimes to active terrorism allegations completely changed the entire complexion of Malami's legal troubles, turning a standard corruption trial into a massive issue of national security and public safety. The massive political implications of Malami's severe legal predicament cannot be overstated in any way, shape, or form. The former minister recently made a highly controversial political move by officially defecting from the ruling All Progressives Congress to the African Democratic Congress, a decision that has massively fueled intense speculation regarding the true motives behind his current prosecution. A highly vocal section of his political supporters and loyalists have actively taken to various media platforms to aggressively argue that the sudden avalanche of financial and terrorism charges is nothing more than a deeply calculated political witch hunt designed to permanently destroy his massive influence in the northern political landscape. They strongly claim that he is being unfairly targeted for simply falling out of favor with the current power brokers in the capital city. However, on the other side of the massive divide, anti-corruption activists and millions of deeply frustrated Nigerian citizens completely dismiss these claims of political victimization. They strongly argue that the sheer volume of the recovered assets, the highly detailed financial transactions, and the deeply concerning discovery of hidden firearms present a compelling case that absolutely must be answered in an open court of law. For a nation that has suffered through years of devastating economic hardship and a brutal decade-long fight against violent insurgency, the deeply disturbing idea that the country's former chief law officer might have actively concealed illicit billions and actively shielded shielded terror financiers is a profound betrayal of public trust. As the massive legal teams completely finalize their heavy preparations and the prominent defendants scramble to rapidly secure their wealthy sureties to finally step out of the dark shadows of the correctional center, the entire nation waits with absolute bated breath. The upcoming trial dates in March promise to deliver a highly explosive legal spectacle featuring massive testimonies, heavy documentary evidence, and deeply intense courtroom battles that will definitely test the absolute strength and true independence of the Nigerian judicial system.